Hey guys, Cool Breeze here. I just been packaging some backpacking meals since I can't go anywhere because I'm on call. Sat around and I decided to do a video on how I prepare corn pasta. That's what I've been taking for some nightly meals. I just intersperse it. I don't use it every night, but I'm taking a page from Dehydrating and he recommended corn pasta. I just went and I bought some from the local grocery store. For me, it's Kroger. I just go to their Whole Foods section and they have it. It's just down the street from my house. You can probably find it in other health food stores or such, but the stuff I'm getting is the cheaper stuff. It's corn, 100% corn pasta. This is made by Sam Wheels. It's supposed to be all natural, gluten-free corn spaghetti. But I just figured I'd do a video and show you guys how I prepare it. I'm using, for this one, I'm going to use like all store-bought stuff that I'll put together, but I'll kind of go over it a little bit and show you like what brands I'm using. You could obviously substitute any brand for this. This is just the stuff, like I said, that I like and I'm using. If you want to use something else, by all means substitute anything that that you would like. But without further ado, the first thing I did was I dehydrated the meat already before I started making the video. So I'm going to show you real quick what the meat looks like, and then because it's already dehydrated, and then I'm going to start on the spaghetti sauce. So and then I'll get into the rest of it. But here's what the meat looks like. Okay, yeah guys, all I did was I used my dehydrator and I put it on 160 degrees and I pretty much just monitored it until it got pretty dried out and crispy. These things feel like little pebbles, so but that's what they look like when I'm done with it. And you can use as much or as little as you like. As you can see right now, I've got several piles out here to make the different bags, but or you can omit it if you're vegetarian and you don't want meat. By all means, you know, omit it from the package. But I put it in there. Dehydrating, what I recommend is like I said, I dehydrate mine on 160 degrees, and I try to get the leanest meat possible because the less grease it has, the easier it dehydrates. Anyway, enough of that. Next thing I'm going to look at is dehydrating the spaghetti sauce. Okay, this is the dehydrator I'm going to use. It's the Nesco Professional Food and Jerky Dehydrator. I don't remember exactly which model this is. I apologize. But this is what I bought. I don't even remember how much it costs. I've had it for about a year now, I think. I've dehydrated all kinds of stuff. But this corn pasta, I really like this meal. I will have to admit, it's a little tricky. So you may, if you decide to experiment with this, you may have to try it several times. Just like I did to get it right. But again, I'm going to show you some of the things that I've learned from it. I'm going to dehydrate the spaghetti sauce now. So I'm not going to show you exactly what I bought because I don't think it really matters. But I'll just tell you that I bought some store-bought spaghetti sauce. You can make your own. It'd probably be healthier if you made your own. I just don't have enough time to really get into all that today. So I'm just going to dehydrate some store-bought. And I will tell you this, I am kind of picky about it, just me personally. And the spaghetti sauce that I'm going to dehydrate is actually 2 different brands of spaghetti sauce mixed together, because I found that that's what I like the best. But you can just use whatever spaghetti sauce you use for your normal spaghetti. That's what I would recommend using. I'm going to set the food dehydrator on 135 degrees. And I found that it works best that even though I'm only going to do, I haven't decided yet, when I get it out in a second I'll decide for sure, but I'm either going to do 1 or 2 trays of spaghetti sauce, and I recommend you know, only doing about 1 bottle per tray. And to me, that's what makes it work out best. That's what it'll get about the right thickness to actually have it dehydrate correctly. And what you're looking for is for the spaghetti sauce to get like almost like a leathery you know, texture to it. I mean, it needs to be like really dried out because it does have some oil in it, and you want to get it as dry as possible without over drying it. And I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done, but without further ado, I'll start spreading it out for you. Here we go. Okay, the tray I use for the spaghetti sauce is, you know, these are the normal trays, and then you have to use the fruit tray because it keeps anything that's, you know, fluid from falling through the tray. So I'm gonna use the fruit tray, and I mixed up the spaghetti in the into a bowl because I use the two different types of spaghettis. If you don't do that, then obviously you can put it straight out of the you know, the bottle into the trays. All I'm going to do is, I know I'm probably in the wrong angle here for you to see, but I'm just going to spread it out where it's fairly even and onto the tray. You want it as even as possible so that it'll dehydrate correctly, you know, all the way around about the same. So you just spread it on. Till you get a fairly decent thickness. And again, you want about roughly one bottle. So for this, I want about half. But you want about one bottle of spaghetti per tray. And then I make sure I don't, you know, put it over the tray on any side, and I just smooth it till I get a good, like, flat tray. And I try to make it as uniform as I can possibly get it without going over anywhere. Once I get that, I place the dehydrator on it, making sure I don't get the cord in it or anything. And then I set the dehydrator. The meat, like I said, I do on 160, but the spaghetti sauce I do on 135. Okay, I just started the spaghetti sauce. It's gonna take a while. It'll take multiple hours, anywhere from 6 to 10, depending on your dehydrator. And again, I usually set the alarm for 5 hours or so, and then I just start checking it every hour, depending on your dehydrator and what you set it on. But I just started it, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start processing how I package up my spaghetti. All right, again, I've already told you guys I use the Sam Mills corn pasta. You can use whatever, you know, pasta. You could use regular pasta if you really wanted to, if that's what you really like. From here, what I do is I get out 2 Ziploc bags. I use the quart size. You could use any size that you like, but I found that the quart size works the best, and this is what I'm going to rehydrate my meal in once I get done. But pretty much what I do is I take the corn pasta and I get it out, you know, as whole as it comes, you know, in the full length, and I measure. And what I'm looking for is about 7 ounces. Depends on your trip. If you're just doing a short weekend trip, You can cut that down to 5 or less, just depends on you and your appetite. For longer trips where you're gonna get, you're gonna burn through those calories, I recommend at least 7 ounces. Okay, once I get it broken down like this, I break it into about 1.5 to 2 inch long strips of spaghetti strings. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. In the past, I've broken them into three about equal length sections. I've had people say they broke them down into halves. I mean, whatever you like. I just think it helps in rehydration. It may be my imagination, but I don't have any studies on that or anything. But to me, it just helps, and plus it helps me to process it at the end of the day, because all I'm doing is stuffing it in my mouth anyway. So I break it down in as small as I can get them, usually about 1.5 to 2 inch long strips of spaghetti strings. And then from there, I place those, once I get those broken down, I place those into a quart-size Ziploc bag. And then I try to make them as flat as possible in the bag. That way, you don't want any of them sticking up so that they'll puncture the bag or help puncture the bag. And then from there, I add the meat into this. I go ahead and add it in because it's one less bag for me to prepare. And then, or have once I get out there. And plus, you want to rehydrate both of these quite well. So, all right, here we go. I open this up, and as you can see, it has a texture almost like leather. It's very thin, dried out. That's the way it should be. Not that you have to do this, but me personally, what I do is at the point I think it's good, I'll take it and I flip it over, and I actually flip it over onto this side, which is normally the side that's down. It comes off like this, and I flip it over and I dry it some more just to make sure it's really good and dehydrated. I know people say that kills some of the nutrients and stuff in the vegetables, which this is pretty much what this is, dried vegetables, but I'm not really as concerned about this. This is more to add taste. This pasta is more where I'm concerned about getting the carbohydrates and the energy from. This is at this stage, what I'll do is I'll take and I'll divide it up into whatever I think that the size that I'm going to need for each packet. Like for the 7 ounces, I usually use, as you can tell, I kind of broke this into almost quarters, but I'll take it again and I'll divide it up. I'll probably take about another half of one of the quarters, so a quarter and a half of a quarter, and I'll put it into a blender, and I'm going to blend those up, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a minute. Okay, once you get it out of the blender, it should more or less look like that. It's just a little powder. It should be very powdery, I would say. If it looks like it has a lot of wet spots in it, you probably haven't dehydrated it enough, and I would probably put it back in the dehydrator or start over and try again. But again, once you get the size to where you think you need, I tend to lose. I'm kind of messy when I use a blender. I'll just let you guys know right off the bat. You may be not as messy as I am, but one of the reasons I use so much spaghetti sauce is I tend to leave a lot in the blender, and so just whatever size you guys think works best for you. I just found that about a quarter and maybe another half of a quarter end up being about right for me. Again, it's just trial and error, whatever you guys like. If you'd like to do more or less, it's totally up to you guys. But once you get your packet looking like this, pour the spaghetti sauce into the seal a meal bag or whatever you're using, whichever seal bags you use. I will say this, the reason I use these, I used to use a Ziploc, but I'll tell you, this still has oil in it, and I found that over long-term storage, which I try not to store these too long anyway, but if I try to do it on long-term storage, sorry about that, then there's oil still in here, and it has a tendency to want to leak out. And so even when I seal it inside the other sealed bags, which you'll see me do here in a minute, I just do this package especially. I want it sealed so that it doesn't leak anything into the rest of the meal and potentially, you know, contaminate or ruin it. So anyway, once you get it to this point right here, I just put it into the seal bag. I make these little pouches. I cut them and I make them. Specifically for this purpose. I cut them down. I always make sure I do at least 2 seals on the bags, because I found that you know, that is, you know, if you just put 1, you know, it could potentially leak. I always put 2 just to be on the safe side. Okay, here we are. I've got it all sealed up. This is my spaghetti sauce. This is like really important to me, so I'm going to go over this again, but I make sure I vacuum seal these bags. I found that works best. I mean, in the past I have used just regular Ziplocs, but again, this is what's worked best so far, and I don't mess around anymore. I double seal the bag, as you can see. Sometimes I triple seal it. That's how important it is to me. And I want to show you a little trick. Not just in this bag, but in all my seal and meal bags, is I do this little trick. I realize that, you know, all the bags that you get from the store that you can open without a knife have this little cut in them. And so what I do with all of these bags is I make sure I'm on a flat side, usually one that's made from the bag already. Like I get the 8-inch bags for this, and I just custom cut these. I cut them up. But I always use at least one side that was sealed from the factory. It's a wider seal, and I just put a little nick into it. I know you probably can't see that with the camera, but I just take a small pair of scissors and I just put a small nick into that. And then because I know I'm going to be backpacking and it may be dark when I eat this, and you know, I'm probably going to be tired, I go ahead and I just take, if you can see this in the camera, I just take and I take a Sharpie, and I Sharpie where I cut. That way, you know, if I'm tired or it's dark, I should be able to see that mark, and I know that I can tear the bag open right there. And it's just a little something I do. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that on a video. I just saw that on the bags that you buy, and I thought, hey, you can do that with a sealed bag. Anyway, it's just something I do. So, I've got this. I'm going to put the components together now. I've got the spaghetti strings. I went ahead and mixed the meat in mine. I mean, you can do whatever. You can take a little Ziploc bag and put the meat separate. They're just really crunchy, dry meat. Or like I said, you can omit it if you don't want to take it. I fold this thing down. I try to get as much air out of it as I possibly can. And I unzip the bag about halfway. You can do more, you can do less. I don't think it really matters that much. The reason I do that is because when the vacuum bag seals down, it'll try to pull some of this air out too. So it'll pull as much air out of the bag as possible. And nothing usually comes out once I get this folded over other than some of the air. So I've got that squished down and most of the air out. I've got this already vacuum sealed up, ready to go in the bag. I've got the condiments that I want to put in there. I've got the garlic salt and the Parmesan cheese and the organic olive oil ready to go in the package. Then I take again an 8-inch bag like this, and I know it's probably, you can't see the whole thing because I'm zoomed in kind of tight, but I take this, I'm gonna put it all in here, and I'm just gonna vacuum seal it all up. I'm gonna, I'll pack it in real tight, and then I'll just vacuum seal the open side. When I'm done, it'll look just like this. This is what the finished product will look like. All right. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is meal preparation. Once it's all packaged and you're gonna actually make it in the field, what I do is before I pack this one, the last one I'm just making 2 of these today, but remember I said I put that notch in the bag, even on the outer bag. So I tear the pouch open, and once I do that, I get all the contents out, and the two things that I need that I don't have right here, actually three, is my spoon, and I take an Evernew 600 milliliter pot. Sometimes I take a Snow Peak, and sometimes I take some other stuff, but usually I take my Evernew 600. So that holds roughly right at around almost 2.5 cups of water, and I usually fill it all the way almost to the top, because I am boiling water. I don't want to fill it all the way up, but I fill it almost as far up as I feel comfortable, and then I boil that. Once I boil that, I'll take this bag with the spaghetti strings, and in this case the meat, and I open this bag, and I'll take the olive oil. I'll pour the water into the bag first, and I pour the olive oil in. I usually zip it back shut, make sure it's good and closed. Put my hand over it, and I'll make sure that I'll knead it up, make sure that it's good, and try to make the spaghetti strings as open as possible in the bag to try to get some space, as much space as possible. It does make it a little more difficult rehydrating in the bag for whatever reason. Once I do that, I'll take my spoon out and I'll stir it all up, and then once I get fairly comfortable with that, I'll put this bag with the water and all the stuff that's in it, with the olive oil and everything already in it. I'll put it in I have a bag cozy, and really all that is a Reflectix pouch. It's made out of Reflectix. I made it myself. It's nothing more than I folded it over and made a little pouch out of it, and it's the exact size of this 1 quart bag with water in it. I mean, look it up online. There's probably instructions on how to make them. I'm not going to go over that in this video, but I'll put this in that pouch cozy. You'll see other pot cozies. It's basically the same concept except for a pouch, and put this in that so that it'll hold some of the heat into it, so it doesn't let all the heat out. And then I stir it occasionally with my spoon. I'll open the bag and stir it up, make sure everything's as loose as possible, so that I don't get clumping, because I don't like clumping in my spaghetti. And it's bound to happen. I'm just going to let you know, anytime you make spaghetti yourself, it's bound to happen. But anyway, so I'll let that sit. I usually let that rehydrate for 8 to 10 minutes. Usually, if I boil the water, obviously, if you can't, for whatever reason, if you're using an alcohol stove and it doesn't quite get to a boil, you'll just increase that time, because the cooler the water, the more time you'll need to rehydrate. And you could actually do this meal without boiling the water, but just makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker if you do it. Once I do that, like I said, stirring occasionally. I keep checking it. If the water, I always make sure there's water left, because you'll need that water to rehydrate your spaghetti sauce. So always make sure there's water left. If there's not, there has been times where I misjudged it, or I didn't put enough water, and I just go back and I reboil water and I put it back in. Usually not a big issue. So at that point, once I get it 8 to 10 minutes, and if I've had to reboil water, if there's enough water left in there, I'll re-add the spaghetti sauce. And you're going to need to give it a few minutes to rehydrate the spaghetti sauce. So I usually give it another like 2 minutes or so to rehydrate the spaghetti sauce. Once I get it all rehydrated, I'll stir it up, make sure it's the right consistency. If I really need to add more water to it, you can. Usually I don't. Usually by then I've got a good idea. And once I get all that done and ready, I'll add my condiments, which is in this instance, it'll be the garlic salt and the Parmesan cheese. And you can see, that'll make a pretty good sized meal for backpacking. When I use this 7 ounces, that's usually for longer duration trips. And the one thing I will say about this meal, the last thing I'll say, is that it is a fairly heavy meal, but it provides a lot of energy for hiking. So at the end of your day, you could eat this meal and continue hiking another hour or two, and still get up the next morning and have some energy to hike. I hope you like this video. I hope somebody learned something from this video. A lot of this is just trial and error from me. I started making these, and I just did a little research, and slowly but surely got this to where it's more and more perfected. What I would recommend, if you do try this, if you do make these meals, is to try this at home. to make sure it's palatable at home and make sure you can get it cooked at home. And another way you could have done this was obviously make the entire meal, maybe minus your condiments, and then dehydrate the whole thing. That's a way. I just found that this way for me is what works out best out there. And the only downside I think to this is you run a risk of clumping the spaghetti sauce. So this may not be for everybody, but if you want to try this, by all means, I definitely would try this at home though, so that you make sure you have an idea of how to get all this put together. And you don't want to mess this up out there and then not be able to eat this and then have to carry this with you with it rehydrated. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd really appreciate to stick them down there at the bottom, and I'll try my best to get back as soon as I can. And other than that, like I said, hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, subscribe. Cool Breeze out. There she is.